Today's video is day 2 of the road trip I took with my mom to the eastern United States. In today's video, we explored Fort Delaware, Edgar Allan Poe's home and gravesite in Baltimore, and Ben's Chili Bowl in Washington, D.C. Come along with us. Good morning. We got up nice and early this morning because we have a very full day ahead of us. We're driving right now from Hagerstown, Maryland, where we stayed the night last night. We had a good solid like six and a half hours of sleep. We're good to go. A lot less driving today, but a lot more action. We're starting off with a fort tour at Fort Delaware State Park in Delaware. It'll be our first time in the state. Delaware
State Park in Delaware City, Delaware.
It's a very Delaware kind of morning. So that's what we're starting off with. Let's go. My brother-in-law is from New Jersey, and he talks about Wawa gas stations all the time. We found one. We're going to make a pit stop before we get to the fort.
Yeah, and so we had to go and buy a whole new one-way flight that cost $200 a piece. Mind you, that original Frontier flight was $68 round trip.
Yeah. You do need to purchase tickets online in advance, or depending on how busy they are, you may be able to get tickets when you arrive in order to visit the fort. The tickets do include a ferry ride across the Delaware River to get to the fort, which is a really fun part of the experience. Just a short little ferry boat ride, and now we're gonna get on a tram, I believe, that'll take us over to the fort.
That was fun.
So the island is called Pea Patch Island, and then the fort is Fort Delaware. So that's where we're headed to next. I see our trams straight up ahead. Yes, bat tours. They have bats that hibernate inside the fort. The lady, when we got off the tram tour, was giving us like all the info. I'm so interested in that. Wow, this is so cool. Gotta wear fancy footwear to go on the bat tour. You're doing the booties. I wanted to do the cool shoes.
She said these are easier to walk in.
Yeah, that's probably smart for you.
Good day in the season, we only see maybe up to 60. Our bats are tiny, so they only need about a ½ inch to an inch and a half space to kind of cram their tiny bodies into. This is really where we start seeing them hanging out. We have stalactites coming from the ceiling, stalagmites on the ground. So I would peek when you walk here today. We do have little formations rising from the ground. Those are little baby stalagmites rising up. This is great cave-like indications because if you go to a cavern or a mine or anything like that, this is really what you would see as well. So this is another reason that this is very cave-like. If you have cold air, it's dark, so that's lovely stuff. Get a nice view for a second, third level of the fort. I always use my Jurassic Park quote here, where life and nature always finds a way. We have trees popping right out of our brickwork. Pretty, but not great, especially for the building. You can't just pull it out because those roots are deep within there, and that just kind of rips apart our brickwork as well. So that's one of our challenges we face, is a lot of plant life and plant material, as well as our animals using the fort. But it's really cool because we have a lot of moss, we have a lot of ferns popping all over. So this is another sign that we have a nice ecosystem out here. really unexpected.
expected. I didn't even know that that was a thing, but I was really intrigued by that. The fact that like nature has kind of taken over this abandoned fort and is making it something entirely different is really cool. We're gonna finish exploring the fort and then head back on the ferry to move on to our next journey. There's a fort where we were, but it used to be like all of these buildings too. All the barracks from the prison and workers' barracks, I guess. Pretty cool. The church, is that a church way back there?
Yeah, they're in the chapel.
Wow. It's like its own little community. Oh, the shooting stuff. All those barracks that used to be here, there's one more left that we can go and explore. But there used to be, of course, a lot more out here. We've got about 30 minutes before we need to catch a ferry back to Delaware City. That should be enough time to do last minute exploring. Attacked by bugs, so that's enough of the prison camp trail. Maybe if it wasn't like in the summertime, it'd probably be nicer to walk this trail. Our ferry boat is here. We're waiting to get loaded up and head on to Baltimore. We were on a bit of a time crunch because our next stop was the Edgar Allan Poe home in Baltimore, Maryland, and you do need a timed entry pass purchased in advance to visit his home, so be sure to check out the websites below in the description box. It's like the most narrow stairs I've ever seen. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, and it's hot. The visit to the Poe house was short and sweet. It was really cool to be in that house. But there wasn't a lot to see there, is what you were saying, right?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take long.
Yeah.
We were late, so that was a good thing.
I'm glad that they let us in because there was like multiple times on the ticket to get in, they said no, admit, like we're not letting you in after 15 minutes late. And we were 17 minutes late and she was like, oh yeah, come on in. Don't take our word for that because they might be sticklers sometimes, but they were not today, thank goodness. So I'm glad that we got to actually go in and see it. And now we drove just a few blocks over is his burial place, and it looks like the cemetery gates are open right now, so we're gonna get in and show you some footage of his monument and final resting place with him and his wife too. We learned at the Poe house, but yeah, so pretty cool. This is a neat cemetery in general. This is so old, like so much.
Oldest one in Baltimore.
Is that what it says? Oldest cemetery in Baltimore. So if you go to the back of the cemetery, that's where his original resting place was. They moved him to the front later and built the nicer monument. All the Poe things are done, checked off the bucket list. We're headed to DC. Parking was a challenge.
We think we're close.
We think we're close enough to walk.
We think.
I don't think I'm in a spot where my car will get towed. Fingers crossed. We're going to Ben's Chili Bowl is where we're trying to find, because they are famous for the half smoke, which is a DC type of food. I think it's originated here, I believe. It's a black owned business. It's been here for what, like 60 something years. Anyway, that's where we're headed if we can find it. Our hotel in DC. We're staying at the Holiday Inn. It just looks like a pretty standard Holiday Inn, very similar to the one that I stay at when I go to Jeff City sometimes for work and stay. Not like crazy, really good view, but you can see like some downtown buildings, you know. We probably won't be spending much time in the hotel room anyway, but I do think we're probably just gonna relax tonight. We talked about maybe going downstairs. There's a Johnny Rockets like connected as part of the hotel. Ben's Chili Bowl, by the way, was delicious. We got the original half smoke. It has like chili and mustard and onions on top. We got a side of onion rings to share, and it was like the perfect amount of food. Like we were full, satisfied. Everything was really delicious. The service was great. Everybody was so friendly and kind and fast, even though they were pretty busy. They had like a huge group of people, but they staffed themselves so well, and you can just tell that like it's a really well-oiled machine, I guess you would say. The coolest part to me was that Virginia Ali herself, the owner, was there. So she was like helping, like she was in the kitchen flipping burgers when we first got there. There was just like, you can kind of see her. She's kind of blocked by some other staff members that were next to her, but you can kind of see her in the little video clip that I took. But I wasn't trying to be like rude. It was like, almost like seeing a celebrity though. You could tell she's very proud of her business, and it shows. It was a great time. So I think now we're just going to finally have a moment to relax for like the first time on this trip so far. I think that they have a pool here too, so I don't know, we might go check that out. Honestly, just like hanging out and reading my book for a while sounds great to me, so we'll see. Tomorrow we have a really big day planned though. We're gonna go to all the monuments and the African American History Museum, Ford's Theater. Those are like the main three things that we want to do for our full day in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. So stay tuned. That is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to see more of our road trip and many more adventures to come. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.